There will not be a transition period for Utah. The Utes make the move from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 with a loaded team, arguably the best home field advantage in this conference, and they have a great opportunity to win this conference in just their first year there. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down the Utah Utes, their schedule and prediction for this upcoming season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks, some of the best spread picks in the entire country that have beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. So do not miss out on those. Do not miss out on our weekly newsletters, also offered on our website. And check out our mailing address. Send us some of your team's gear. Let's get some Utah representation, some more Big 12 representation in our background here. Everything here has been sent in by you guys, members of our GE Nation. We want to try to continue that, to expand that nation from coast to coast. So I love this Utah team, guys, and I typically love Utah every single year. That's why, because they're always a contender. They always play a great style of football, and I just love Salt Lake City. I love the home field advantage this team has. They are 90-26 at home under Kyle Whittingham, who now enters his 20th season with the Utes. They're 27-2 at home over the last 5 seasons. And you look at what Utah did last year. They won 8 games without an offense, practically. They went 8 games practically without a quarterback. This year, they've got themselves a quarterback. 6 starters back on offense, none bigger than getting Cam Rising back, who missed all of last year. We thought he might miss a game or two but come back, but no, he missed the entire season after getting hurt at the end of the 2022 season in that Rose Bowl against Penn State. Threw for over 3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns in that 2022 season. And now he has Jalen Glover coming back at running back. He's got Micah Bernard also back at running back. 2 of their top 3 pass catchers return, and that doesn't even include their star tight end, Brant Kuithe, who also missed last year with an injury. So the Utes are missing their quarterback and their top pass catcher and still managed to win 8 games. That's very, very impressive. They've got a strong offensive line returning. All the stats are going to improve after averaging just 23.2 points per game. I could see Utah maybe getting close to 30 if they can stay fully healthy. This will look like a completely different team in their first year in the Big 12. The defense, though, they won't look different. The defense is going to look strong just like they always have been strong, but even back in their Pac-12 days, even back in their Mountain West days. 9 starters are back, including Kareem Reed, the linebacker who had 67 tackles last year. They've got Lander Barton as well back in the linebacking core. This is the defense that allowed just 19.3 points per game. And the big mark to me, only 83 rushing yards per game. That's it. That's all the Utes gave up last year. They won 8 games mostly because of the strength of their defense and the other team's inability to score. If Utah couldn't score, they weren't letting you score either. 8 games, pretty impressive. Connor O'Toole back on the defensive line, 4.5 sacks last year. 7 of their top 8 defensive linemen are back up front. So they are going to be strong in the front 7, and they've got a pretty strong secondary too that's now loaded, or I should say reloaded, with transfers. Utah's got everything they need to go on and win the Big 12 championship this year, but they've got to stay healthy. They cannot afford any more massive injuries, especially to their quarterback. But you take a look at the schedule. It's not just the talent that Utah has that makes them a Big 12 title contender. It's the schedule that they have. They were gifted a beautiful, beautiful schedule. I mean, it really is unbelievable how favorable it is. I'm going to tell you right now, I think they open up 3-0. They'll beat Southern Utah. They'll beat Baylor in a non-conference game. Remember, we saw this with Kansas State and Arizona, too. This is a non-conference game. Utah and Baylor played last year in Waco. The Utes won that game, miraculously won that game over Baylor, 20-13. But that was a non-conference game then because they scheduled a home-and-home series. Well, then Utah joined the Pac-12 unexpectedly, just like Arizona joined the Pac-12 unexpectedly. So they kept that home-and-home series and are just making it a non-conference game. Again, Kansas State and Arizona are doing the exact same thing. So this will not count as a conference game, but it will count as a win. They beat Southern Utah, they beat Baylor, and they cruised past Utah State in their first meeting against the Aggies since 2015. They then go on the road to Oklahoma State, a battle of Big 12 heavyweights, guys. These are 2 teams that are legitimate Big 12 title contenders and very well could be the first of 2 meetings between the Utes and the Cowboys. It's their first meeting since 1945, so I like that. Like a little, history there. And obviously like this opportunity to see what these teams are made of. 2 kind of contrasting styles. An Oklahoma State team that I think is going to be phenomenal offensively with Alan Bowman returning, the nation's leading rusher and Ollie Gordon returning, their top 2 pass catchers returning. So they've got that, skill of offense against this Utah defense. I love it. I love it. But the Cowboys guys return a lot of people. They return 19 starters, one of the most experienced teams in all of college football. Their defense wasn't all that great last year, but it's going to improve a lot this year. And I look at this game and I go, all right, Oklahoma State's got the offensive advantage. Utah's got the defensive advantage. Something's got to give here. What's the tiebreaker? It's home field advantage. A pretty long road trip from Salt Lake City to Stillwater. This is a kind of a welcome to the league moment for Utah and their first conference game, true conference game in the Big 12. The Cowboys, the Big 12 runner-up last year, get the win over the Utes and hand them an early season loss at 3-1. But then you look at the rest of the schedule going forward and you go, man, it's ain't too bad. They renew their rivalry against Arizona in Big 12 conference play, not Pac-12 conference play. And before you jump into this, because someone will, yes, I know Utah lost 42-18 last year to Arizona. I'm aware of that. Are we also aware that the Utah team is going to look drastically different? They lost 42-18 against an Arizona team that was getting hot at the right time, was lighting people up left and right with Noah Fafita and Tedero McMillan, and they will again this year. Utah's defense cannot afford to overlook them. But on the road to Arizona, with no quarterback, no ability to keep up with them offensively, they lost 42-18 right there towards the end of the year. Well, now Arizona loses their coach in Jed Fish off to Washington. Yes, they maintain Fafita, they maintain McMillan. They're going to be a solid offense once again, but now Arizona has to come to Salt Lake City against a Utah offense that actually is capable of keeping up with them in a defense that I think is going to be very highly motivated. I don't think they're hungover after the Oklahoma State loss. I think they beat Arizona in Salt Lake City, come out of their bye week, and I think they win their next 5 games. They will cruise past Arizona State, another Pac-12 matchup that now is a Big 12 matchup. They beat the Sun Devils 55-3 last year, outgained them by 430 yards, 513 yards for the Utes, 83 yards for the Sun Devils. Unbelievable defensive performance. Yes, they now have to go on the road. Arizona State, though, still going to struggle mightily in 2024. They cruise past them. I think they beat TCU, again, at home, 27-2 over the last 5 years. Almost unstoppable there. They'll beat TCU in an old Mountain West Conference game. The last time these two teams met was back in 2010. TCU was 4th in the country. Utah was 6th in the country. The Utes lost by 47-7. But TCU, while their passing attack will certainly test this Utah secondary, TCU's offensive line that only returns 1 starter is going to be a bit of a concern against this defensive front of Utah. So the defensive advantage, the home field advantage, maybe the ability to create pressure on Josh Hoover and this TCU offense, Utah beats the Horned Frogs and they win it by double digits. A little extra blood in there as well with the renewed rivalry. They cruise past Houston. The Utes are 0-4 all-time against Houston, but have not met since 1978. The Cougars undergoing another rebuild in year 1 under Willie Fritz. So they win those 3 games, come out of their next bye week, cruise past BYU in the Holy War. Utah's won 10 of the last 12 meetings, but they have not played since 2021. It's going to be great. This is a conference game. I love that it's actually going to mean something in the standings between Utah and the Cougars, but BYU still kind of going under a rebuild in a way under Kalani Sitake. He's been there for a while, but the Cougars are making that transition from really playing Mountain West squads and MAC squads every single week to now playing a power opponent every single week. They went 5-7 last year, but had a horrendous offense and a defense that was supposed to be good but wasn't. This year, a little bit better statistically, but not enough to beat Utah in Salt Lake City. Should be a fun game, though. And then I think they cruise past Colorado. Another Pac-12 matchup, now turned Big 12 matchup. They won 23-17 last year behind the strength of their defense because obviously the offense for Utah nowhere near that of Colorado. So the defense played the biggest role there. They've won 11 of the last 12 against the Buffaloes. And I can see this game being relatively close. I think Colorado's going to be improved certainly statistically this year, but obviously defensively nowhere near that of Utah. Offensively, I think they get shut down. This defense shuts down Shadur Sanders. It's relatively close, maybe a 10-point game. Utah gets the job done. And just like that, they're still only a 1-loss team heading into their final 2 games against Iowa State and UCF. This Iowa State game, though, going to be tough. I like Iowa State a lot. I kind of talk about Iowa State as the Utah of the Big 12 before Utah made the Big 12, joined the Big 12. The Cyclones are a gritty, smash mouth team. They play very physical ball. They've got a great underrated head coach in Mag Campbell, kind of similar to that of Kyle Whittingham. I don't think he typically gets the praise he deserves. Ames is a very difficult place to play, at least it has been since Campbell took over, just like Salt Lake City is. So Iowa State and Utah are so similar. They play a similar style of offensive ball. They're going to have two great defenses, maybe the number one, number two defenses in the Big 12 this season. This is going to be a fun matchup. And for me, I would almost be inclined to take Iowa State if this game was in Ames. But I've got to go with the Utes here. That home field advantage. Everybody's got to stop with the home field advantage. It is a serious thing. I mean, 90-26 over 19 years. Do you understand how crazy that is? How impressive that is? 27-2 over the last 5 years. That's insane too. Iowa State, as good as they are, is going to lose this game in Salt Lake City. Utah flexes their muscles on senior day. The defense gets the job done, shutting down a young quarterback in Rocco Becht who has a lot of talent and great upside, but struggles in this environment. Utah wins. They're 10-1, and they go on the road to UCF. They are playoff contenders. They are Big 12 title contenders. They have a chance to win 11 games and make the Big 12 championship. And they might still make the Big 12 championship, but they're going to have to sweat it out a little bit when they lose to UCF. Big time trap game here at the end of the season. Maybe one of the best offenses that Utah's defense will see all year. Colorado's will be solid. Oklahoma State's will be solid. Arizona's will be solid, but UCF's going to be dangerous. Bringing in KJ Jefferson from Arkansas. RJ Harvey returned after, 1,400-yard season last year. Two of their top three pass catchers returned from last season. And 8 starters are back on an improving defense loaded with transfers. Orlando, it's not an easy place to play. Not as hard as Salt Lake City maybe, but it's a long road trip for the Utes. Going from Salt Lake City to Florida at the very end of the season. And we've seen UCF do this before, guys. Last year, pulling off the massive upset against Oklahoma State. They're bound for another big upset this year. I think it comes in the season finale on their senior day against Utah. I think the Utes kind of get popped in the mouth early and go, whoa, we weren't expecting this type of firepower from this UCF offense. I think they settle down, make the game close, but UCF comes through in the clutch, steals this win. A UCF team that was a lot better last year than their 6-7 record indicated. They probably should have been an 8-9 win team, but fell short in those close games. This year, some of those close games go their way, and Utah falls to finish the year at 10-2. First off, what a great year. First year in the Big 12, you win 10 games, 2 conference losses, probably good enough to get you into the Big 12 championship, but it depends on what other teams do. It depends on what Oklahoma State does the rest of the way. It depends on what Kansas State does, who Utah doesn't play this year. What do they do? What does Kansas do? What does Arizona do? What does Iowa State do? A lot of big-time games and teams in this conference that can make a run at the championship. This is a wide-open Big 12, but Utah is going to find themselves at the top of the standings. And 10-2, if it's good enough to get them into the Big 12 championship, means they will be 1 win away from finally breaking through and making the college football playoff. They fell short many years during their time in the Pac-12, but maybe this Big 12 move is just what the doctor ordered for Utah to finally get over the hump. They're still going to be one of the best teams in the conference, still going to be one of the best teams in the nation, still going to have one of the best home field advantages in the nation, and the Utes will be in for a very, very successful season in 2024. But what else would you expect under Kyle Whittingham? So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of those expert picks and home to those weekly newsletters. Do not miss out on those. We want you to take advantage of all those exclusive offers and become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.